Ron, we're doing a lot of different videos on the concept plan to cover every portion of it. What's the next thing that you think we need to talk about?
You know, we talked briefly, but it's important that we mention it because a lot of folks don't seem to get that there's not enough public money. These things that we're talking about in the concept plan are designed to attract investors, which is exactly what Mansfield did with their plan. To put their new plan in place for their old downtown, they got 4 new investors and 4 new projects. And they brought them specifically because the city made it easier for them to come. And there's a number of other small components, but I don't want to make them sound like they're not important. You need to make sure that your council people are allowed, to speak at council meetings. Now, I know that sounds really simple, and in Haltom City, but they have workshops, but nobody can speak but the council. Now, you know, workshops designed to talk about, well, what might we do, and how would this work, and who would be affected, and to have a workshop without allowing citizens and business owners to speak is pretty much counterproductive.
Yeah, the basic strategy session without all the
Yeah, of course they meet the requirements of the open meetings law, and even during the council meeting, you're not going to get 1 second in Haltom City past the 3 minutes. That's just all you're going to get. And he may cut you off early if he doesn't like what you're saying. And you could be the only speaker they have. They may not even have 2 agendas tonight, but you will only get 3 minutes. And I don't care how important it is or how important it is to you, you're only going to get 3 minutes. The cities need to hire a consultant. Now, in the past, I think most cities have hired engineering firms. Of course, they go off to their conventions, their mayor conventions, and they come back with these pictures of South Lake and, you know, Kennedale and Haltom City, and they all have these grandeur visions of what they're going to do because they saw it at these conventions, and yet I don't believe that's really what the citizens want in most cases. And the city really doesn't have any business and can't afford it. And Strong Towns is one of the cities, it's a nonprofit, and they take 4 cities a year as a project to come and meet, prepare a plan, and I have considered offering to Haltom City that I would underwrite her. And in Kennedale, I said the same thing. By the way, it looks like Kennedale may take me up on the offer and let me underwrite the cost of the study.
They've got a new city manager recently.
They have a new city manager. Yep, they got a new council, and the first job they did was fire the city manager. And so, you know, sometimes change just happens, and it must be the will of the citizens, I guess. So, hire a consultant, probably not an engineering firm. And, you know, we also talk about the city having a brand. And, of course, automotive used to be the brand in Haltom City. And, you know, I guess I'm not really okay with not having automotive, but that's okay if you want to have a different brand. But let's have a brand that means something. Let's have a brand that makes us different than the other cities and that people can identify with, and they can see it and they can feel it and they know it's happening, just like in business. But, you know, most city officials and even city councils, they're not marketers. They're not thinking about a brand. Of course, Haltom City has virtually killed their brand. Now, in Arlington's case, you spoke about their brand. And even though I'm pro-automotive, you'll have to admit, Arlington's done a pretty good job of having a brand as a sports. You know, they got the Cowboy Stadium and the ball as an entertainment venue. And, you know, if they just had a plan to redevelop all those places they're putting out of business, that would be helpful. But at least they do have a brand, and they're still on the map as meaning something. One thing about me is I wrote a book on metrics and how to manage from metrics and how to learn from metrics and how to check our improvement against our own numbers and against others' numbers. And I think at every planning counter in every city, we should have a box that says, if you weren't happy with the answer you got, please call this number. And there should be somebody that will help you figure out if there's another solution. And also, because we don't know, I have a favorite saying, we don't know if this problem is bigger than a bread box or smaller than a car. But in Haltom City, I'm convinced there's 3 to 5 applicants a week that are turned away for one reason or another. Not enough parking, not zoned properly, whatever. And you know, if we could get one a week, we'd get 50 more businesses a year than we're already getting. Of course, they want to say, well, look at all these businesses we got. I want to know about the ones we lost. And we don't measure what we lost, so we don't know what we could be accomplishing. So I think that the city staff should be tasked with gathering how many calls they got about business applications, how many people came in, and what was the outcome of those calls. And then we could at least look at them and think,
net loss or net gain.
and how many could we have had we had a different, how many opportunities are there to bring new business with this tracking? The sign ordinances, they need to be made simpler. It's not high on the list, but it's to be considered. They need to be simpler. By the way, under form-based zoning, they could be a whole lot simpler.